rude of you to ask. No, they were this tidy before. They've always been tidy.
They look a lot tidier. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Sorry. I almost forgot we were live there. Welcome along to another Blether with. Good evening to who's on. We've got Dave, Peterhead, and Ryan all on YouTube watching. Dave is having a tin of Diet Coke. He's on call with. Okay, but you have an excuse.
What does Dave do? Why are you on call? What are you?
What are you? What kind of questions that?
Like a firefighter or a ambulance driver or a superhero. What is Dave?
I don't think superheroes have like opening hours where they have to be on call.
They need some downtime.
Yeah, I'm not saving that old lady getting mugged to death. I'm not sure how that works.
No. Well, let us know what you are, Dave. Man of mystery.
I know he's changed recently. Sorry?
Mm-hmm. No, we've got a delay between us, and I think your internet's catching up.
Dave Muir on Facebook. Speaking of superheroes, I'm here. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Perfectly timed.
Good stuff. Kat, what's in your glass tonight?
Well, I was thinking, what's the connection? So I went with farm distillery, and we all know that I have a farm distillery in my, I bet you can guess what's in my glass.
Does it begin with a K?
It does begin with a K. So I thought, I can crack into the Cahoman, but I don't know which one to go for. So do I start with Maher Bay, and then I've got the cognac one as well. And I thought I had another one, but I can't find it. But I maybe just drank it. So I don't know which one do I start with? Maher Bay maybe, and then have the cognac one.
Yeah, I do have a Cahoman here. I've got the 100% Isla and the small batch Sauterne. But that's not what I'm starting tonight. And I have got another link, but a different link, but from the same island. I've gone with Arnaho because a very new distillery is my link here. So our guest tonight is from a very new distillery. And I also wanted to, I think their logo is really cool. It's not going to get close to the screen. You're going to have to see it upside down. Does that remind you of any other logos?
Oh, it's a bit like the Whisky Shop one.
Yeah,
we've stolen the Whisky Shop one.
I mean, you can't claim that outright, but I'd be flattered if we were influenced on the Arnaho. I'm not sure if you can hear Kelly.
Cool. What's the whiskey like? I can hear him, yeah. He's keeping everybody entertained tonight. Not wanting to go to bed.
No, it's either he wants to go to bed or he really wants to go or he really doesn't. It's one of the two. Yeah, it's a good dram. Actually, it's really nice. So that's what's in there. And I guess we've got to get a guest on. He's he's given up waiting. He's gone. Yeah, I saw that.
We'll just have to entertain everybody with our amazing chat for a while.
Yeah, good evening, Rick. And Willis is on as well. Good evening to you guys, all you guys watching on Facebook. Good morning, as Rick says. Ryan has cracked open a Tamnavulin box set. Christ, you're taking it serious tonight. You're opening a box set.
How long are you staying? Jesus.
He thought last week's chat was like 3 hours, so he's like, yeah, I'm in it for the long haul tonight. So Tamnavulin is getting open. So I love how serious you're taking it. Dedicated to the our guest who, I might be wrong in saying his first job was in Tamnavulin, but or certainly in whiskey, but he'll correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
We'll have to find out.
So Tony has either murdered my child or he fell down, but it's quiet through there now.
Let's hope for option 2.
Yeah. Now that Allan's back in his seat and all comfy, let's And I'm sorry, I'm going to call you Allan quite a lot, although I know you like to be called Finley. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, seeing I wasn't on screen, I just nipped to fill a glass of water.
Always
responsible
sensible.
drinking. That's not...
Yeah.
Yes.
David's put a wee comment there saying, was really worried about you last night, Mike. Did you find your sheep? Yes, we found a sheep last night. So we have a wee toy for you, for Killian, that he goes to sleep with, called Ewan.
The white noise sheep.
Yeah, the white noise sheep. But Killian wasn't well the night before and threw up all over Ewan, so we had to wash Ewan, and he wasn't dry in time to go to bed last night. And this was the worst thing ever to happen in the history of mankind. Ewan he wasn't there to put Killian to sleep, so we put a shout out. Luckily, we got a friend came over from Newmarket, so they drove over with their Ewan for Killian. So the power of social media. So thank you, David, for your...
Is Ewan dry and prepared now?
He is, but I think we're going to stick with what we're now calling him Ewan, who is the new Ewan.
Ewan.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's cool.
Finley, welcome. Thank you for joining us and giving us your turn tonight for a wee blether. And hopefully you enjoy it. For everyone at home, Finley's joining us from as a distillery manager of
Distillery
Balmod.
Manager. Yeah, that's correct.
If you haven't heard about Balmod Distillery, I'm sure we will learn all about it and what's coming up tonight. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. Finley, the first thing we're going to ask you is in testament to Ryan, who has opened a Tamnavulin box set. Was that your first foray into working in whiskey, or was there?
No, that was would have been my second job. It was my first job in production. So
right.
before that, I worked at Sheriff's Brothers. I was in warehousing. So I used to go around all the various sites. I used to sometimes be in the blending troughs. Sometimes used to be in filling heads amongst empty casks. And they used to do tap and repair years ago. I used to be in tap and repair squads and used to float around the various warehousing sites. So I was there for a few years. And that was kind of in the late 90s. And well, things weren't great in the whiskey industry in the late 90s. So I landed up away from there. And then I came back into the whiskey industry in 2010 in production at Tamnavulin Distillery. So I lived and worked there.
You lived there as well?
Yeah, I lived on site as well. Yeah.
Okay, so is that kind of workers' accommodation, or is that from when it was built? It was built as part of the...
Yeah, so it was built in 1966, and there was two houses on site there, two bungalows just as you go down the road. You see them before you get to the distillery, they're just on the right-hand side. So there was a manager's house and an exciseman's house. So okay. I stayed. It was Brewer's Cottage. It got renamed to after the exciseman went. It would have been a brewer's house. So I stayed in Brewer's Cottage.
Oh, nice. I've only seen one other.
Go on.
Sorry.
No, you go, Kat.
I was just going to say, does that mean you were called out every time the alarm went off because you were just living next door?
Yes. So every Christmas holidays when there's no one else there, the alarms would go off. I'd be out resetting alarms. And I was also the first person who was called when someone, I can't come in, I'm sick.
Yeah, the best and worst of living on site.
Yeah. Good overtime though, so it was quite nice.
Good overtime, and you didn't have to drive to work, so
it was all good.
Of the benefits.
Yeah.
I've got an old Chivas blend here, but it's a wee bit before. This is still in fluid ounces, so it's a wee bit before you were there.
Yeah. Yes. I used to get a lot of that in staff bottles, and another one I used to get on staff bottles was a Passport. So that was kind of Glenkeith was the home of it. I used to get a lot of bottles of that and 100 Pipers.
Jeez. The Passport Scotch, we see a lot of that in miniatures now. You know, when people collect miniatures, and there's always a Passport Scotch pops up there.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad brand. Nice blend.
So was that a Chivas blend, was it?
Yes, it was. It was there. And after I was at Tamnavulin, so at Tamnavulin up to 2016, and I was actually the Whisky operations manager for Murray McDavid for about a year and a half. So I was there for a while. That was quite a good job. I missed the production side of things, so my next opportunity arose to be manager at Speyside Distillery. So I went up to Speyside Distillery and I was there for just over 5 years. So it was a lot of exciting.
Feels like you were there, wasn't you?
Yeah, it was a cracking place, cracking company to work for as well. And I was there during a time where everything was just going fantastic for them. The amount of awards they were winning was unbelievable. So it was fantastic to be a part of that with the team.
Excellent. All down to you, obviously.
Oh, the manager before me, he was a spot on lad. Sandy, he was a very good lad.
It was a relatively new distillery as well, wasn't it?
Speyside.
The Speyside, yeah.
Yeah, 1990.
Yeah,
which is actually nuts because no one else was opening a distillery in the 90s. there was only Speyside and Allan. That was the only two opened in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And then they're opening up every 5 minutes.
Coleman, wasn't it?
Aye, it would have been Coleman after them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so there's another wee link for you, Kat, to open your Coleman with.
It's already. I mean, I don't really need much persuasion, but I'll take that.
When I seen you guys are all floating around islands, I thought, what am I going to have a dram of tonight? So I pulled a favourite of mine out.
Buna.
Oh,
12-year-old.
The Islander's favourite.
Cask strength batch 2.
The cask strength. Oh,
yeah. Batch
stepping
2,
up.
Yeah.
I haven't tried the cask strength, either of them. But
the batch 2s. I would highly recommend it. This is my second bottle.
It must be good then.
Yeah. So at Speyside, I was there up until September last year. Then I got talking to a family down in Turriff who are farmers, and they were building a distillery. So I had various chats with them, and then they asked me if I'd be the distillery manager for them. So it was a very exciting project, and being a farmer's son, it kind of felt like going back home, kind of. So the thing I really like about it is they're growing all their own barley.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's a fantastic thing for us. We've got wind turbines, so it's all pointed towards being greener, sustainability. So we're not, for a start, going to be doing our own malting, but we are looking into perhaps doing our own malting in the future. So try and keep everything in-house, keep lorries off the road, etc. But we're going to be malting our barley very locally as well. So
it looks like it'll be quite a big site. Is that the picture of it behind you there? It looks like it's going to be quite a large. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The picture behind me, and I think it's kind of facing the wrong way from what it's supposed to be because of the camera.
Everybody turn your computers around and you'll see it the right way around. Yeah. Sure, it works like that.
Everyone pick up the laptop, go through it in the bathroom, sit in front of the mirror with the screen facing the mirror.
That's right, yeah.
See exactly what we're looking at.
Yeah. So no, it's a fantastic site. It's very well laid out and practical.
Right.
So, as I say, it's been built on one of the farms that the family own. So they knocked down existing buildings they had, and they've erected these new buildings.
Okay, so it's a completely new build. It's not renovated.
Completely new build. No, it's not. They did look into trying to renovate old sheds and things of that kind, but there wasn't the height there, so they decided just to knock down and just start from scratch. So I started there in September last year, and when I went on the site, there was just a hole. Holes everywhere, and no steel was erected or anything like that. And now it's over 70% built.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The stills are all in.
Can you see it from the roadside? Can you drive past it?
Yeah, there's a road drive. You go right past it. The roadside, there's a single track road. It's just hard against the road. There's an older existing building that we're we're going to do something with in the future. And there is plans for a visitor centre that's across the other side of the road, but we're just wanting to get up and producing first of all. So we're hoping to be producing in September this year, but it could be October.
And are you going to be called Balmod Whisky, or is it a?
Yeah, Balmod Whisky.
Yeah.
So they say the family who are behind it, they're all heavily involved with what's going on. There's Wilson, so he's the guy who's building the distillery. His daughter Shannon and her husband AJ, they're all very involved with what's going on every day. And their son Kyle, he's also doing a lot to do with brands and marketing, looking at that kind of side of things. So everyone's heavily involved. And because there's no whiskey for us to make just now, we're all doing other things. There's things like painting walls and laying concrete. And everyone gets stuck in. It's great to be part of it right from the start.
Because you're a farmer's loon, so you'll be a jack of all trades. So you'll be
Italian.
They'll have to watch out though, because every door in that place will be held together with blue tow. Now you have to make sure you're doing it.
Aye, that's right. But no, it's quite good because obviously I'd worked in construction type stuff and that before. So when I went down there, I got put through some the machines. I got put through and got tickets for them, so I can operate some of the machines and that they've got. So yeah, it's quite good, quite handy. Because when you can't make whiskey, what else are you going to do?
It must be rewarding though, because as a manager, you'll been built we just started from sort of the ground up, so you've had so much input on, for the very start right through to the whiskey coming off the line. Were you involved in the sort of the style of whiskey and sort of the stills you wanted and sort of the?
No. So it's for Sice at Rothus who are making the stills and doing the install. All that was decided before I came on board. So it's going to be like a Speyside type style. It's going to be like sort of a Glendronach, Balvenie, Glenfarclas kind of type style whiskey we're going for. Something along those lines.
Awesome.
And how are you firing the stills? Are you going for a sort of traditional direct firing, or are you indirect firing?
Indirect. And we've also installed one of the TVRs as well. So that thermal vapor recompression, so that we're making hot water as well, not using our boiler so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a traditional distillery is going to be as well. Everything's kind of a hand. There's going to be a little automation. So we really wanted that.
Awesome. And what kind of crew are you working with? What's your staffing going to be like when it's up and going?
Well, up and going for a start. Well, I'm looking to take on an experienced operator. So I'll have one experienced operator, and then you'll know yourself, guys. There's a lot of work to do. The real work begins playing around with fermentation times, getting the right style we want off those stills, and then once we get to where we want to be, we will then put on another shift. So there'll be 2 shifts, and perhaps someday there could be 3 shifts. So there'll be an operator for each shift and someone spare as well.
Awesome.
So I mean, it's a 3-ton mash tun that we've got in there. We've got 8 washbacks, and we've got a 15,000 litre wash still and a 10,000 litre spirit still.
Wow.
That sounds like a good start anyway.
We've got Colin Poppy joining us just to say hello. He's asking.
Oh, yeah, see Colin. No, not wooden, Colin. Stainless.
Easier to clean.
Easier to clean, and they'll last forever.
And while Colin's on, obviously involved with Ballandalach, have you reached out to other new distilleries just to see how they got to where they are? You've been.
Yeah, Colin's actually a friend of mine.
I thought he might be.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'll have to catch up. I haven't seen him for a while. I've been down once or twice.
Have a word with them and get him to come on the Blether.
Aye.
He's here watching. Ask him yourself.
I know. I thought I'd do it indirectly and see if he gets the hint. Come on the Blether, please, Mr. Coffey.
We've got Rick who's watching on YouTube. He's asking what a TVR is. Do you want to explain that, Finley?
TVR. So instead of your traditional condenser, a TVR, as you're producing your product, the TVR is creating hot water off of that condenser, and you can use that hot water for cleaning. You can use it for further production. It saves you having to use so much steam in your boiler, therefore using less source of heating and putting fuel fumes out into the atmosphere. So that's what it's all about. It's all about sustainability.
That's an easier way of describing it.
You can get
I've read about it
savings
before. Never.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go on.
They reckon you can get savings up to 40% by having that TVR. Yeah.
And it's thermal vapor
recompression.
Recompression. I can never remember the R.
And then you've now also got as well, you get mechanical vapor recompression, MVRs. So that's a newer system that a lot of the much larger distilleries are using.
Awesome. Rick is also saying, Kat, that he thinks your accent is getting stronger. When you talk about the Fairman's Loon,
yes,
Finley's obviously got quite a broad accent as well. And when you were talking there, I was just giggling away at myself, thinking what YouTube subtitles are going to be.
Well, I was actually going to say before I come on, you'll have to excuse my return to having a really broad accent, because I went from working at Spey, where you were up in the Highlands and I had to talk, and then seeing visitors from around the world. I was talking and getting on fine, and then when I went back down to Turriff, I just fell right back to being like home, because I was brought up. Well, I wasn't really far from Turriff. I was only about 20 miles from Turriff, where I originally Grange outside Keith. That's where I'm from. So my tongue was just kind of the same as Turriff.
Yeah.
So don't really talk so much these days. So I fell into it too easy again.
Right.
It's not until you're speaking to somebody. Yeah, but it's not until you're speaking to folk from Aberdeenshire that you realise that it never goes. It always just gradually creeps its way back in. And you think you've lost your accent, and then next thing you're like, oh, I'm actually fairly well. Where's that just come from?
I think you've
it's
just
a lovely accent. We should be very proud of it. The Doric's an amazing dialect. We're always speaking about it at the distillery because, for a long time we weren't allowed to speak it. Maybe it was the same with you guys, but I remember at primary school we were not allowed to speak Doric at all. You were actively discouraged from it. Yeah. And then I think it was after devolution, it got like a protected status, and you see like all the kiddies' books being rewritten in Doric and stuff, and it's so important because it's predominantly an oral language. So if you don't use it, we're gonna lose it. So.
Yeah, well, school they actually teach it again now, because I actually one of my nieces, she actually used to go and do readings at Keith Music Festival, etc., and it was all Doric poems. Yeah, so that they are kind of taking it back in there.
Yeah,
time.
No, it's a lovely thing.
It's lovely, but you know what amazes me about it is, like Inverurie Doric is so different from Keith Doric. And then you've got the Peterhead, Fraserburgh, Peterhead. He's going to place. It's such a small community, but the variance in the accent and the dialect is massive. Like, if you sit with a couple of folk from Fraserburgh and speak to them, they'll come out with sayings that I've never heard of. And I know my dad was a Rhiney loon, so I grew up knowing Doric fairly well.
Aye.
But they'll come out with something like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's funny, because down where I work, I'm from, I live in Aberlour now, but I'm from Grange originally. I've got a guy who lives in Mistodlich. There's a guy from Macduff. There's Fraserburgh there as well. And there's a lot of laughter and banter. What's that word? And what's this word? So we're all getting to know one another's words. But it's quite funny. We kind of knew most of each other, and we'll say that is a word from down your way.
Okay,
yeah. It's. I think you'd need. I think you would need a dictionary to kind of get to the bottom of all of them. But yeah, they do sort of. It's weird the way they've kind of varied over across the regions, but I guess they're probably similar, but just kind of evolved with the way people have pronounced them. It's a funny thing, isn't it? But pretty cool. So between the three of us, if we really went for it, I imagine most folk watching would have no idea if it were speaking about if we just went
I can always remember when I was doing a tour at Speyside Distillery. So Susan, who I used to work with up there, Susan's lived in the Alvimore area for like 30 years, but she was from England originally, and she would struggle to understand me at times. But then, not a problem, until one day she says, "You've got a tour today, a manager's tour." Okay. I was thinking, oh, where are they from? I'll really have to talk. She says, "They're from Turriff." And I said, "Oh, fantastic." And she said, "Oh, what's so good about that?" I says, "That's down my neck of the woods. These guys come in and we all started speaking. And Susan's like, I thought I couldn't understand you before, but I really can't understand anything any of you guys are saying." So one of the best tours I had, because I had a great laugh with the guys.
I can imagine. There'd be a lot of reminiscing and talking about the local areas. And,
yeah.
Fantastic. We've got Alistair who's watching tonight. Alistair Gray, he's a Tamnavulin, so he's really excited about Balmod. He's throwing his hat in the ring for the operations job. He's saying you can have a trainee. Pick me.
Unfortunately, maybe down the line, but I need someone very experienced for a start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but down the line.
When will you start recruiting, do you think? Because you're saying you're not far from producing in September.
So we've had people on holidays, etc. We're going to draft up a job interview just before long, and we'll post it out and see what we get back.
Awesome. I think you'll get a lot of interest. Everybody wants to be in the distillery industry, but as you're saying, you're obviously going to want somebody with a lot of experience.
I can't be there all the time. I mean, it's like my last job. Sometimes I have to go away off site. And well, for example, that's the last couple of years I've been in the World Whisky Awards judging panel, so I have to go and do things like that. So you can't make whiskey and go and do that. And
that's awesome. That's hard work, isn't it?
It's terrible work. So yeah, so that's
you like to get involved with the festivals as well and go and be behind the stand pouring drams as well.
That's right.
You're a very front-facing manager, aren't you? And you hope it's done as well with Balmod when it's up and running.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'm hands-on. I mean, one day I could be dressed, shirt or suit on or whatever, and the next day I could be stripping a pump or cleaning out a draft screw or just anything. So you just get stuck everything. I'm not an office type guy at all.
No, I get that impression.
Yeah.
Alistair saying he's a very experienced drinker.
Well, we've got something in common there.
Well, maybe Alistair can step in for the World Whisky Awards while you're stripping down boilers.
No, I'm not letting that one go.
Do you know, though, I've often thought this about judging whiskey awards, though. So how do you do it? I mean, obviously, like, you can't drink a lot of whiskey before you kind of overwhelm the palate a little bit. So do you get, like, a set amount, or how does it work?
You'd be surprised. There's actually quite a lot of them. And you've got your oat cakes and water. Most people aren't drinking them. You're just taking them in, round, and spit. That's all you're doing with it. Mm-hmm. But don't get me wrong, if you get one, it's like, oh, that's nice. You'll have a good taste of it. But I thought the same as yourself. First time I'd written no, my palate worked all the way through. And it's great because it's all blind. And obviously, I'm from a company, so I wouldn't get my whiskey. They make sure that people from each company don't get their own whiskies. So it's quite funny because I've got some friends and like, I got one of yours. And I'm like, I got one of yours. So
that's good to know it's your one though, because you get tested all the time. People like, you see if you go out with pals or you go somewhere with like workmates and they'll buy a dram. They're like, oh, guess what that one is? You're like, it's going to be Glengarry, isn't it? You're trying to catch me out.
It's funny. They think you can tell every single whiskey out there. I'm like, that's not the case at all.
No, it's a very hard.
It is. I've been lucky. I've been lucky once, a few times. Say, yeah, know exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm. When am I? one of my favourite moments in whiskey was with Morrison Distillers. I can't remember if I told us on the chat or not. I got invited down to the worshipful whiskey
Company of
makers.
distillers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just made up your own name there.
It's quite a lengthy one, the worshipful distiller.
Yeah. And so we got there as a welcome drink going round, and we got handed the Blair, who was kind of my host, kind of handed me the welcome drink, and he goes, "Go and have a taste." He goes, "You'll never guess." So kind of had a nose and a taste, and he goes, I couldn't tell you what to stir or anything, but I'm pretty sure it's a rye finish or it's a rye whiskey, and it was the Arbiki rye.
Oh yeah.
My God, that's amazing. And I was just like, thank God. Didn't make a complete fool. Sometimes I think you're almost you're scared to commit to something because you think if it's wrong, then you look like a fanny. But
yeah.
Sometimes you have to go with that gut instinct because afterwards you say, well, I was going to say that. They're like, "Aye, right, come on."
I had an interesting tasting a while ago, and I thought it was very cool. It wasn't guess what whiskey is. It's guess, is it blended? Is that grain? Is it blended grain? So there was like 5 categories. And in that one, I managed to get them all right. So I was chuffed with that. That was quite good.
Awesome.
That would be fun. Yeah.
I thought it was a really interesting spin on it. Instead of, which whiskey is this? It's not which company made it, which distillery produced it. It's what is it? Is it blended, single? And I love grain whiskey as well, so that helps as well.
Yeah. Grain is kind of it's chipping away a wee bit. Certainly single casks. You see a lot of indie bottlers taken out. Yeah. And it's quite exciting because you can get some good stuff if the customer gets over that kind of barrier that it's grain, it's not going to be as good. You'll take a punt on it. And most of them are very good priced.
Very good.
You get some like 17-year-old Port Dundas that Lady of the Glen released a year ago. It was only like, I don't know, it was like 60 quid. A single cask.
Value for money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've introduced quite a few people to grain because they're like, oh, no. Grain's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as I like a good blend as well. So as I always say,
the Whisky magazine have just released their first film on YouTube, and it's all about blended whiskey.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they did it alongside Ardrey, which is our new blend, but they go into a lot of detail, go into like the history of the blend, and sort of how, so I think they've interviewed somebody. I haven't watched all of it yet. It's 45 minutes long, so I keep watching bits of it at my lunch break. But it's really, really good. It's really well put together.
You can watch it. Is it on YouTube? Or?
Yeah, if you go onto YouTube and just look up Whisky Magazine, it's their new kind of their channel. So they're creating these little films, and I think this I might be wrong, but I think this is the first film they've released. So they did a lot of filming for it at Glengarry and interviewed our master blender, Dr. Fraser, and then talked about a few different blends. So it's really intense. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys have probably had it as well over the years. It's like you get people come in, it's just single malt, and I don't touch that stuff. And you've always got to say to them, if it wasn't for blended whiskey, none of us would be where we are today, because it was blended whiskey kept that going.
It is. There's been a big market over the last, well, not so much the last 10, 20 years, but kind of 20 years before that, wasn't it? It's kind of, then there's a downturn in whiskey in the 80s. The marketing kind of guys thought, well, we need to do something with it, and then that's when single malt really got pushed, wasn't it? Is it that premium drink, that pure drink, and blends are crap, single malt.
Yeah.
And we're kind of almost going full circle. I've just poured just off the back of that the turntable, which is these guys are doing some great stuff. And we are seeing a lot of the guys coming into the shop. And I would probably take a point and say about 60% of the people coming into the shop are buying for someone else. They're buying gifts or something to take home as a souvenir or whatever. And they have it in their head without being quite naive to what whiskey is. All they know is single malt is good and Speyside. And that's kind of, unless they know a specific name, like a Macallan or Glenfarclas or
Yeah.
something. And it's not them saying, I don't drink blends. It's just that's what they think that their friend drinks, and they say, well, and they're quite wary of straying from that.
Oh
because
yeah,
if something that's a blend. Oh no, he doesn't like blends. He likes single malt.
yeah.
And that's all they've got to go on. So
I know
an industry to say,
Yeah, I know a few people out there around here, older guys. They won't touch single malt blends only.
right?
So
You have that. Don't you?
You get the reverse.
The pub crowd. You're kind of older.
Yeah,
guy, and it'll be a grouse or a bell, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
I would mean, as I say, I like my blends, and if I'm going for a big night out, I'm not going to be drinking malt all night because, I mean, it can be quite powerful. So generally, you'll find me amongst Whitey Mackay.
Nothing wrong with it either.
No,
it's fun. See the mentality of a lot, and I include myself in this. Is you'll go for a night out and you'll drink, as you say, blends or a kind of fairly standard Glenfiddich or Glenmorangie or something.
yes,
affordable and standard Balvenie probably in that kind of.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, you think, right, what are you having? Well, let's get a goodie. Let's get a 21 something.
Aye.
So what's the point of spending that money at the end? Because you're not going to remember it. You're not going to.
No, you're not going to remember it.
It's like what's that round? Buy that one first, and then drink the cheap stuff.
I'm seeing an old work colleague in the comments.
Yeah, I was going to say Reese is on. He was on last week as well because we had Andrew on from. So yeah.
So me and Reese worked at Speyside Distillery together.
Oh, I think Reese has just left Speyside Distillery.
He has. Yeah, he's away to Balmod now.
That's right. We found this out last week. Nice to see you again, Reese. I hope you only don't tune in when you have ex-colleagues, though, because I hope you tune in again next week, Reese. I know I'll find you on Instagram and I'll make sure you're tuning in next week.
Why don't we get Reese on and then we can get all his ex-colleagues to watch?
That's true, Reese. We'll get you on next week.
Good evening, Stephen McLean. He's popped on. He's on Facebook. Nice to have you along, Stephen. Thanks very much for joining us. Reese is saying same time next week. Alistair is asking, so I know the answer to this, but we'll let Finley explain this. Any plans to make a gin or anything else to start?
Yes, that's another part I haven't covered. We're going to be making rum, gin, and vodka. We're putting in a double retort rum still. So go for a Caribbean style type rum. And I believe
we are molasses and distilling on site. That then
we were on distilling on site.
Awesome.
So, and the thing is, with the double retort rum still, we are the first ones in mainland Scotland to have it. So it'll be interesting.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, so we'll do a gin as well.
On global warming, getting to the stage where you can grow sugarcane in Tara?
Well, if we could grow sugarcane, that would be fantastic because sugarcane does. They say it makes the best, but the molasses it makes it very, very good as well. But I reckon the sugarcane just has that slight edge.
You'll be used to the molasses for mixing through the feed anyway. Or maybe a big bucket of molasses for is it the sheep feed to put it through or the cattle feed, or do they both get it? I don't know.
Both. Yeah, both will get. Yeah.
It always smells really nice on like a cold morning when all the feed's getting stirred through.
Aye. You wouldn't think it smells good. You wouldn't think it smells good if you're at a blackening.
No, but it's not just molasses that gets put in that. I think gets put in that. Because that's unique to here as well, and I didn't know that until I got older and moved away. And there's so many things in Aberdeenshire that's just unique to here, and one of them's a blackening. Because not everywhere in Scotland does that. I think they do up in Orkney, Shetland, but
Herd's getting banned as well, apparently.
Is it?
Apparently it's getting banned.
Nah.
Because of mess and things like that kind of. Yeah, somebody was speaking to me about a few weeks ago, saying, they reckon it's getting banned.
Oh, no, there would be a mass revolt.
Well, it's tradition. Yeah.
It is. Bad luck otherwise. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't get a blackening, and now I'm getting divorced. So there you go. That's what it is.
Well, you better
I
get
think the main
remarried
problem.
to get blackened.
I know. I think the main problem is that I married a prick, and not the fact I didn't get a blackening. But
that's a hazard.
They can't do that. They can't ban blackenings.
No,
I don't know. How could they police that?
I don't know.
Because most of it's done at like sort of firms and stuff anyway. Like nobody really does it in the street anymore. Or if they do, they're in like a bogey.
They generally do it somewhere, and then they go and parade around streets of the local town.
Yeah.
I get. I mean, I've seen the times where like people take them out to a park where it's popular for dogs to go walking, and then the dog's gonna you on something and get it. You can understand that kind of. As long as you're as sensible as a blackening can be.
Yeah,
so
it's quite funny because everyone just thinks pot ale for a blackening. So they'll come and say, "Can we get pot ale?" No, you want pot ale syrup. They don't know the difference. So you don't want pot ale on you. Pot ale syrup is better.
Yeah. So for anyone watching maybe who isn't familiar with a blackening, basically, if you're engaged to get married and you're maybe a week or a couple of weeks before the big day, your friends will manage to find a way to get you out for a dram or a drink or whatever reason to get you out, and then you basically get tied to the nearest stationary object, whether it's a lamppost or a roundabout or something, and get clarted in syrup and treacle and feathers and flour and eggs and whatever they've managed to collect over the last couple of weeks. And the more stinking and rotten, the better. When I got blackened, Tony locked the car. She just did not come out and hid in the car. So I got blackened solely. I got the full pelt of that, which I haven't forgiven her yet for.
Well, when I was younger, I don't think women always got blackened. It was mainly the men. I think women getting blackened is a bit more recent because it was never. I don't remember many women getting blackened when I used to see blackenings. I used to see them going around the village, with honking the horn and stuff. And it was always just the man, like the groom and the groomsman. But yeah, it does seem more women are getting blackened now, which is cool. It's all part of the fun as well. They shouldn't miss out getting covered in shit.
I remember my dad telling me a story about a couple of his friends who refused to come out of the house because they knew it was a blackening. So what the pals did was climb up on the roof and they put a clot of turf over the chimney. So this was back in the days of peat fires. So basically, they didn't get blackened. The house got blackened. Covered the whole house in soot. So.
Oh no!
Yeah,
worse.
There's no escaping it. If it's coming your way, you're getting it.
It is. It's pretty cool, though. I don't know where that tradition comes from. I've never looked into it, but it's a very cool tradition. Anyway,
but it happens in whiskey, doesn't it? The coopers get blackened when they graduate, don't they? They get put in a barrel with the tar and stuff. Yeah.
It was Brent was telling us that as well when we had him on a few weeks ago, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What did you have?
Yeah, we had Brent from Oakwood on for about 4 weeks ago, maybe, or a bit longer.
A wee bit longer,
yeah. It was a great chat. Really interesting to hear about how he's growing the business.
I know him very well.
Well, I think he was over at Knockhill last weekend racing as well.
He was best man at my wedding.
No way.
Yeah, he was.
Small world.
We should have had the two of them together. Wait, sorry, did you say you were best man at his or he was best man at yours?
He was best man at mine. His partner's son was best man. Something he wanted to do. I was kind of supporting him, but kind of.
Yeah. Awesome. So he got to blacken you then, did he?
Yeah, we got to blacken. I'm trying to think. No, we didn't get to blacken that little bugger. It's not too late. I can get him now. An excuse for a dram.
Yeah, exactly.
if he ever tries to do he tried to break the world record, didn't he? So if he ever goes for that
Yeah,
again, he can
I was
maybe
there
blacken him
watching
for
them.
that.
Yeah, that was
That's
that was a
awesome.
good day out in there watching them all.
Yeah, I bet it would have been. So he kind of knows the current distillery manager at Glengarry because they were both coopers together as well. But yeah, it's a very small world in the whiskey world, isn't it? It's nice.
Mm.
Oh well.
I've just had a top up myself, so I'm amongst a Tamnavulin 10.
Oh, 10-year old, you don't see that now, do you?
An old one I found, and I says, oh, but it's disappearing quite quickly. It seems to be a go-to for an evening dram.
Yeah, I love that Tamnavulin 10. I like the 12, but that 10, I think, was for me. Yeah, nice. So Ryan is watching on YouTube. He must have finished all 6 Tamnavulins. He's now wanting to
Wow. He's done well. Jeez, oh.
He's done well. Ed Friday, who's on, he was in the shop a week ago. Was it before the last chat, Ed, you were in? And bought a rum, and he was just saying he's really interested in the local to see if we can get a decent rum distilled on mainland Scotland. I'm not sure if that's a big. Anyone else trying to make rum? I'm not going to get down that political level. But
I believe there are a few. There's some up north. So I remember when I take the job, when I got the job down there, I says, well, I suppose I better go and find out how to make rum because I've never had anything to do with it before.
Yeah.
It's just been gin and whiskey and gin I've done before.
We had the lad from Isla rum.
Isla. I thought, I'm just thinking about him. He literally taught himself to make
on YouTube.
rum.
YouTube programs and taught himself to make rum.
I believe he's got double the top rum still as well.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
When you said he was the only ones from the mainland, I thought that's who was.
That's who I was referring to. Yeah.
I know, I can't remember his name, bless him. Because was it not the night he had really bad reception, didn't he? Because we got him not Festival Pass, but the one before, because he was kind of live from the distillery at Fays. But yeah, such a clever lad. I sound like such a granny. What a clever wee lad now, learning how to make rum. But yeah, just completely self-taught. I'm gonna have to try and remember his name now. That's gonna annoy me. These Isla boys are so clever when it comes to stuff. Are you looking up his name? Ben Inglis. I knew he would know Reese. Well done. That's it. Because they're in the old.
Fountain of knowledge.
Yes, because Reese is from Isla too, I think. Is he not?
Yeah, Reese from Isla, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's in the old kind of like juice factory or something, or some sort of old factory on Isla, isn't it? The distillery.
Come on, Reese, you can answer us.
Because I think it's like an old Art Deco kind of building. But anyway, you can go back and watch that chat by searching for Invery Whiskey Shop on YouTube. You can rewatch that chat, guys. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a good one. Lots of clever people.
Because he's in a band as well, isn't he? He's a musician and.
No, that's Allan. It's Allan from Tyree. He's from Tyree Distillery. He's another. Yeah, he has Tyree Distillery whiskey, but he's Trail West. That's who the band he's in. Yes. Oh, Reese has come back with Lemonade Factory. There we go. I knew I was right. Thank you, Reese. Okay, work's done for tonight, Reese. You can relax. For all Isla questions next.
He Googled that. He didn't know. He Googled it. Took him too long to answer.
You'll have to send Reese a check in a post for all the information.
See, it's island folk. Island folk are nosy. I used to live in an island, and I can find that we all know what each other is doing. So, yeah, he'll know everything.
Well, Finlay, we're talking on the gin. Is that going to be made in the same stills as the whiskey, or have you got a separate gin still
separate still for that.
Yeah.
The whiskey is just going to be whiskey for the whiskey. Yeah.
And are you going to have a column still on site, or are you buying in and you make and rectifying? Or?
The rectifying, yeah.
Do you have an idea of what you're going to be? Because obviously the Byron's gin is quite unique and very, very. Are you going for something quite different?
A bit different from that, I would say. A little bit different. I mean, we're going to be quite experimental what we try.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got people here, there, and everywhere. Oh, try some with this and try some with that. So we have gotten some botanicals, and we're going to be playing around. But one thing I think I would like to stick to, I'd like to stick to the same kind of strengths as the Byrons, because I feel it's just a bit better.
Yeah.
So have actually made some gin using just a small still at the moment, just have a play around and see how we get on. So we'll see how that turns out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll get it back once it's bottled and reduced and everything.
You have to call it Taraku gin.
That's what I'm thinking. Try to integrate Taraku into something.
I wonder if there's any botanicals unique to Tara. I don't know. Whin bushes, maybe.
Whin bushes, You could maybe make a really high strength one and call it Whin bush, because that's where you'll land.
Yeah, probably. Although they've got like that nice coconut smell to them, don't they? So you can have a nice coconutty type. I don't know if anybody's using whin in a gin. Whin gin. Well, that's got a nice ring to it.
You like to start that one.
Well, yeah. I'll come over when you're not using yours still, and I'll have a shotty.
Yeah.
I guess there's so much choice out there for botanicals, but I guess there's just lots of flavors that are just not going to work together. Ones that are more subtle ones.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to experiment.
Gins are funny because you think of botanicals and then what you'd imagine what the flavor is or the taste is, but when you distill it, it can be completely different to what you expect, or even compounding it is completely different to distilling it. You think so? You know, when we took out Foghouse or were experimenting with Foghouse gin, what we were putting in and what was coming out, I was like, in paper it sounds awesome, but see when you taste it, it's like, because some botanicals will just release certain elements, like you might get the really bitter notes of something. The other one that will give you the really sweet notes or floral notes, and the rest it depends on how much water based the botanicals are, and lots of other stuff. And it's just like, oh, this sounds really cool, let's put that in, and it's just awful. And like your provenance story that you set your whole thing on is out the window because it tastes crap. Okay.
The good thing to do, though, I think, when you're experimenting with your gin stills there, I'm thinking, right, we'll try this. When you start drawing off that spirit, once it's been through your botanical chamber, you can actually reduce that in strength, try it, and you'll know if it's going to work, and you can stop and say, right, that's not working. We need to change something here. So it's not too bad.
Yeah. And I guess it works. It depends what else is in there as well. So we've got a new shameless plug, guys. We've got a new gin coming out next weekend, and it's a bit sweeter than a traditional one, a core one. But we had to remove. Ideally, all we wanted to do was add in a different element, but we had to completely change the recipe because it was just too conflicting to what was already there. So we had to pull out some of the original gin botanicals to make the new stuff work. And just trial and error, isn't it? So everyone who's got a gin out on the market is an expert in making shit gin. That's what I always say.
Oh yeah. And what would this new gin you're taking out, what would you recommend? Just tonic with it, or is it one for lemonade? So a lot of people don't like tonic. Yeah,
there is. So it's a sweeter style. I mean, I could almost give you a wee hint. Here's some of the experiments here.
All right.
You can almost see which ones I like better. I've got 2 empty ones on the floor. So.
You've drunk them.
Yeah, they're done. Oh, that's a lot further down than the other. But yeah, we're kind of looking, because what happened, our own gin is very it's very savoury. There's olives and olive leaf in this, and wormwood in there, designed for martinis, effectively. And when we were at kind of fairs and festivals, we only had one product. We think we have one, we do it very well. But when you're competing against liqueurs and sweet gins and cocktail gins and lemonades and that, if people are trying a very sugar heavy, sweet, fruit laden liqueur, and then they come to you, they get that very tart, oh my god, that's strong and that's dry. They're like, well, yeah, it's because it's a dry gin. So it got that kind of mind going. He said, well, let's try something. I don't want to go down the liqueur route, but I want something that's sweeter and a bit more appealing to that market. So it'll go with lemonade, it'll go with soda, be nice in cocktails. It actually works in a hot toddy as well.
Oh.
So that makes a sweetener element.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. I've just seen Ed's comment of horse as a botanical.
Gorse.
I think he means it's gorse. But do you know what? We could give it a go. So Fwyn and gorse are the same thing, but I'm intrigued by horse. If we could get one of those bad boys into still.
I love it as a garnish. Can you imagine just having a horse hanging out the side of your glass?
Or a Windbeach ranch.
I love
I've
it.
heard of a pony, getting served a pony, but never a horse.
Yeah, kind of fixes that whole bartender joke of a horse works into a bar.
Ask for a gin.
Unless there's actually a plant called horse, and actually we're the idiots, but it could just be a typo.
Yeah, he's followed that up with gorse. So yeah.
Oh, he has. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even see that. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Fwyn and gorse are the same thing, aren't they? But
yeah, they are.
There's a gin. Can't remember the company who make it, but they have gorse gin, and it's very gorse heavy. It's got that real nice. It's good in like pina coladas as a replacement for your kind of Malibus and that kind of thing, because it's very coconut. But it's beautiful. I think
one of the somebody did a gorse tonic, because when I was at Taste of Grampian a couple of years ago, I tried it and I can't remember who it was. Go and name me one of the local tonic people, like Walter Gregors or
Botanicals. There's Franklin's or London Essence. They play about with different botanicals.
So maybe one of them, but they done like the small batch kind of hand foraged gorse tonic, and it was really nice because you could taste the coconuts. It was good. So yeah, we could play around with gorse and horse. Ryan says Glenglass, I use gorse flowers.
They do a slow gin, isn't it? They have a slow gin, I think, rather than a.
Do they?
I'm not sure if they still do, but you used to be able to buy it at when they had the visitor centre. You could buy Glenglass gin, and I think you used to be able to get it at Glendronach as well.
That's cool. Oh, well, there you go. It's been done. There's loads of gorse down on the coast at Glenglass, isn't there? It's really pretty.
Aye, there is. Aye. And M and H. Yes. Reb's saying here, M and H make gin with hummus and za'atar. That's interesting.
Wonder if and pitta.
Ooh, I love hummus. I love it so much. Like I would just, I really do. I can't even like tell you how much I love hummus. I'm not even overselling it. I bloody love hummus. I'd be there for that, I think. Amazing. Yes. Well, I was speaking to a couple from Australia the other day, and they were telling me about some of the really cool botanicals that they make gin out of. So yeah, I guess it just depends on where you live in the world.
And there's folk out there using nettles, thistles.
Yeah. Well, I make nettle tonic, or I used to, or nettle cordial, and that works really well with some gins because nettles have got like a really nice green kind of flavour to it, and they're so good for you.
I used to make nettle tea because it was meant to be good for going bald. It's not. Sounds good. They're all different.
That though, I eat a lot of nettles, and look how much hair I've got. So maybe you're just not consuming it right, Mike.
Maybe.
I've had nettle soup. Nettle soup's good.
It's fine, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, nettles are awesome. But people in the old days, if they had like rheumatism and stuff, they used to like slap themselves with nettles. So maybe you just need to slap your head with some nettles and see. See if that works.
You just put it on your head. You don't have to drink it. You just lay it on your head.
Just wear some nettles.
Maybe I misread it. Maybe it was a nettle teepee instead of a nettle tea.
A nettle toupee. Nettle pesto, it's good as well. I've done nettle pesto with wood garlic as well. That works really good too. I love how we've just become a nettle cooking show, but there's so much you can do with nettles.
We always managed to get food into the Blether recently, haven't we? We've been talking crisps.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about whiskey and crisps, and I said to you that there was somebody who was waiting to release a book about crisp pairings with alcohol, and then I thought, oops, maybe I wasn't meant to say that out loud. He's just released the book today, so I probably wasn't meant to say it out loud a couple of weeks ago, but he has just released the book today. So yeah, there's a genuine book you can buy about pairing crisps with whiskey and other alcohol.
Well, I love crisps and I love whiskey, but at the same time,
right?
Every time I'm drinking whiskey, I think I'll have a bag of crisps. Next to it is, it's just different end of scale. It's like very peppery your whiskey becomes, and it's just it's a bit strange. I've always found that no matter what type of crisps, it seems to be like that.
Just accentuates the flavours of the spice of whiskey.
Yeah. First time I met you, Finley, was at the Mash Tun whiskey and food pairing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
yeah,
it was a whiskey club. It was we were up with, there was a few of us. There's 5 of us, I think.
You were up doing a 2 hours at places,
yeah.
And we happened to be having our whiskey club meeting there. And it was like, Mike, could you guys come with us? So you guys
we just joined in. It was phenomenal. I ended up under a table with George Grant's dog. I was more excited about seeing the dog than I was about meeting George Grant.
It was a good night, that, and it was snowing heavy as anything, because you guys had been to Glenalchie as well.
Yeah. We were at Glenalchie. What else? Glen Grant. With that day, and then we went to we were meant to go to Glen McAllen the next day, but they cancelled because of the snow. And George invited us to Glenfarclas.
Aye.
And put on a fair show. Unfortunately, I missed it because I had to get back to Inverurie for a gin festival. Yeah. I was running a gin festival, and we don't do that gin festival anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. Guys, I'm just about to jump my internet because Tony needs her phone back. So if I freeze out, just talk amongst yourselves.
Aye.
Well, it's usually my internet that dies, usually about 8 o'clock as well. So if Mike's internet goes and my internet goes, Allan, it's literally over to you. You're just going to be...
I'll be an ambassador for Inverurie Whisky Shop.
You're an ambassador for Aberdeenshire with an accent like that. It's fantastic. It'd be nice for... I was going to say, it'd be nice for the owners to have such a local person sort of talking on their behalf as well at Distillery. It must be nice for them to have a local loon.
Yeah. I'm a bit out of practice because that's been almost a year since I've been speaking about whiskey and things of that kind. Just kind of been going on and doing this and doing that. So you normally get through Spirit of Speyside and you've no voice left and you've done nothing to talk about whiskey. Nothing to do with me this year. So I actually went and took in some events. So it was a nice, refreshing change for me.
Do you enjoy that side of things, sort of hosting and meeting people and sort of the...
Yes, I do. I still get quite nervous. It's funny, if someone said to me 10 years ago I'd be speaking to people about whiskey and things like that kind, I'd say, no. But apparently people seem to like it. So
yeah. Do you know, it's not as easy as people think. I think people think, like you just, it's a script and you're just saying the same stuff over and over.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, because you've got to kind of change what you're saying depending on the crowd. You've got to be prepared for every type of question possible.
Yes.
And talking in front of people, is a bit overwhelming, a bit scary. It's not easy to do.
And I would also say as well, you've got to be honest. I'm sure you guys have been on tours and someone's asked a question and you can get your guide or whatever and they'll blunder their way through it and try and lie about it. I've been asked questions before I don't know the answer to, and I'll say, I don't know the answer, but you've actually intrigued me. I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
Because we don't know everything.
No, exactly. And that's the best way of learning. If, somebody asking a question that you didn't. And that's, it still happens to me, actually. Somebody asked me a question the other day, and I was like, nobody's ever asked me that before, but I am going to find out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Happens to again.
I think people are so quick to get information as well. If you tell them something that they think's maybe not right, they'll jump on their phone and say, well, actually, here's the way. And people have so much access. It's if you were a brand ambassador 20 years ago, 30 years ago, probably easier to tell you something, because by the time the folk woke up in the next day, they probably forgot what you said, or they'll say, oh, maybe misheard that. Yeah. But now they've got it on their fingertips, and it's not worth even trying to follow.
Yeah.
I can also remember a funny one. This is more like, so the touring around different countries of the world and that and doing whiskey shows, and you'll get certain types come up to you who think they're experts in everything. And there's one from a group chat I remember, he had a chap come up to his stand and he sampled a whiskey and he says, what's the fermentation time on this whiskey? And he said, for example, say 70 hours. And the guy said, really? Tastes like more than that. So it was quite a laugh and a hilarity. It was like, okay, that's a new one. I had a guy once asked what was the calcium content of my water when it was mashed, and I says, I don't know, and what's more to the point, I don't really care.
That is quite the question. Calcium content.
I was flabbergasted that was my, because I'm quite straight to the point. I was like, I don't know, and I don't really care. Why would you want to know that?
Yeah.
I think sometimes people like to show off their own knowledge. If they work in a certain industry, they have, and they're desperate to try and shoehorn that in somehow or other. It's like, yes, that's very clever, but it's nothing to do with what I'm talking about at all. My favorite one is the one. Me and Mike's wife used to work together at the distillery, and she once got asked, "How many fire extinguishers are there in the distillery?"
What? That's a new one. I've been asked weird stuff, but that's strange.
That's my standout favorite question that I've ever heard, and none of us knew the answer. We're like, well, I don't know. As long as we know where the nearest one is.
Well, that's the kind of thing. It'd be good if they asked the fire marshal that. Oh yeah, there's.
What difference does that make to the taste of the whiskey?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. My favorite question I got asked was, how do they catch the yeast? And I was like, I just had this lovely image of them all running around with butterfly nets, catching wild yeast. But I do see where they were coming from, of like, how do we get it? But
is that because you describe yeast as sea monkeys?
In my head, yeast is like little sea monkeys, just like tubing about, farting out alcohol. But I had to look at them under the microscope the other day, and they're not like sea monkeys. I was actually quite disappointed and quite disgusted. Not enough to stop drinking whiskey, but they were not like sea monkeys at all. Sea monkeys are weird anyway, though.
Another one's a strange kind of one someone was asked was, how much does a still weigh? Like,
I've been asked that before. What is the answer?
Well, it's actually a strange one. You could have a 5,000 litre still, or you could have a 30,000 litre still.
Yeah.
But on average, an average size, if you average the size of it down, it's probably about 3 tons.
Okay.
So
I'll remember that for next, because I have actually been asked that before.
Yeah.
And then what do you want that knowledge for? I mean, unless they're coming with a flatbed to try and steal the copper, then,
exactly.
I don't know. What else can we do with that knowledge? I'm not too sure. Yeah. I think sometimes people feel a need to ask questions because they feel like they're participating, because they value the fact that you've given you your time. So they thought, oh, I'll ask you a question, So, if that's the first thing that pops to your head, then fair enough. Well done for having a go and asking me a question.
It's like if you go to a distillery for a tour and you don't know anyone there. Have any of you guys been to a distillery before? You just say, yeah, and nothing more. I remember I went to Tamnavulin years ago, and yeah, so has anyone been to a tour before? I says, yeah, I actually make whiskey. The poor woman all the way through, and she was like, stop me if I'm saying anything wrong. I says, but you're not, this isn't my site.
Oh.
What we do, our site is different to your site. So since then, I was like, yeah, I've been to one or two, say nothing.
It's when people tell you afterwards, you know, oh, I'm actually a distillery manager at such and such. You're like, oh Christ, I'm glad you didn't tell me that beforehand.
Exactly.
You would be panicking. Yeah, it's a fair point. You are, guy. We're all doing something slightly different, so the information is not all going to be the same.
I remember Russell. I know Russell was watching earlier. I'm not sure if he still is, but he took a tasting for us at Cloviston. So the lodge is just kind of luxury lodges outside Inverurie. Yeah. And he went in and he kind of sat up and he asked the question. So, what's your experience with whiskey? And kind of goes around the room, and a couple of guys kind of had a wee giggle, and then told it, "Oh, I'm a joiner, I'm a painter, whatever." And then this guy said, "Oh, I'm Oliver Chilton." He's just like, "Thank God I don't have any of your whiskies in the lineup today."
Aye.
I was like, it was brilliant.
That's what to catch you out. Yeah.
So Russell obviously knew exactly who he was. He was like, but he just really felt his arse just going.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But he was very, very nice. And then he ended up being a guest a couple of weeks later on the Blether. So really nice guy.
Yeah, that's good then.
I think everybody appreciates if you just give it a go.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Ed's on a typing mission. He's got a couple of things going on. What's the octave you've just jumped into? I haven't jumped into it. It's been jumped into a wee while ago. That is our shop exclusive from last year, the 2011 called Drain, which is unpeated Ardmore in a sherry octave.
Oh, I'll have to get a sample of that for you, Mike.
Be quick.
Aye. Tell me a sample. I'd like to try that.
I'll put it to the side so I don't pour it again tonight, and get you that. What else is there? You can see where the relevance of the calcium. His father's from Kent, and I imagine the water there would make very different spirit. Yeah, there's hard water. You get hard water filters and things like that, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, most places these days for the processed water, they're putting in filters for the processed water that's coming in. Well, just any water coming into the distillery. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're saying in Kent, I take it there, it would be quite chalky, could be the water. So that could be a problem. But there's none of that up here.
Yeah.
What's your water source for Balmod? Is it a natural spring? A borehole.
Yeah. Yeah, with 2 boreholes. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Although it might have rained the last couple of days, you've probably got your own reservoir now. It's been...
Yeah. Aye.
The Pure Head got closed down.
I see that. They literally became a sort of island state for about a day. Yeah. Like Alcatraz.
Look, if you say Pure Head should be an island state for a long time.
You can't say that. Andy's on. Is he not the Peterhead whiskey shop?
Oh, he is. Yeah, the casks. Sorry, Andy. Hope your wife's feeling better, by the way, Andy, if you're still on.
Well, of course, yeah, and I hope the shop is okay actually, because I don't know if there's any flooding in the like anybody's houses or shops or anything, but it seemed like it's a bit of a mess.
There was just a guy fishing in the street, and the road was shut at Bodom as well. Yeah.
Peterhead were meant to be playing Aberdeen in a pre-season friendly, and the Peterhead kit man got turned around. He couldn't get in, so Peterhead had to play an Aberdeen strip.
No way.
If you're into your football, Peterhead is very staunch kind of Rangers fan base that's known as the Blue Toon. So for them having to don the Aberdeen kit, I can imagine.
Is that why they're called Blue Toon?
The Blue Toon, yeah.
Because somebody asked us at work the other day why they called that, and my football knowledge is not as extensive as others, so I didn't know how to answer that question. But there you go. I now have a football fact. Although I had a football fact for you earlier, Mike.
You did, yes.
I was quite impressed that there's a famous footballer with the same name as Killian. I think he was in France, maybe. Or, yeah. So there you go. My football knowledge is increasing day by day.
I mean, if you look hard enough, there's probably a famous footballer with like most names available.
Probably not Catherine, but well, maybe in the ladies' football though.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't got into that yet.
Strong game, yeah.
I probably won't get in.
So obviously England won last night and qualified for the final, and they were saying on the commentary how it's the first time England has ever qualified for an overseas championship final, because it's the last twice they got to the final has been based in England. And then obviously all the women football fans, well, actually we won it in such and such a country a couple of years ago. So they have to say the men's team. It's the first time team is qualified.
Yeah. Oh wow. There you go. I thought it was all finished, but no, apparently not.
No, we've got another couple of days.
Yeah. A couple of days to go yet. After there's a lot of disappointed people from the other night here.
Yeah. I mean, and they weren't just Dutch.
Aye.
But hello to all the English fans and followers. Well done. Jolly good show.
Anyway, we have to stop talking about football every week. I don't know anything about football.
No, I can't stand football.
All right. Sorry, we'll move swiftly. It's a good excuse to move on. We don't want to talk about it. I've got an English wife, so she's gloating. She's wallowing in basking in glory at the moment.
I've got an English ex-husband, so that's all I'm saying about that. Dave's got a great question. When will you have a website up and running for Balmod? That's a good question.
Well, we have actually been doing a lot with a company, well, various companies. So we're actually getting a lot of things put together. There was actually a contact of Mike's contacted us today. So I need to have a catch up with Shannon and see what we're doing about that, and then we can get our website up and going. And there'll be, before long, there'll be a bombardment of social media.
Awesome.
So lots of pictures, so it'll be quite frequent and just all the time. And at least it won't be the same thing over and over. Because of the amount of work we've done, it'll be fresh and constant.
Because apart from your posts, I haven't seen much. It's kind of just been under the radar, hasn't it? You've just kind of quietly gone about the business. Whereas something like Arnaho or Arn American, there was quite a big build up to that.
Yes, right. So I actually think this is going to work in our favour. Not doing everything from when there wasn't even a distillery built. You'll get a lot of information more frequently. Yeah. Because sometimes I feel people can get bored. Because you're putting up one page on, then a week or two later, and you haven't really done anything. So I think it'll be good for us.
Yeah. And do you have that kind of spirit plan forecast yet? Or is it just going to be, let's get the spirit right first and see how long that takes to develop?
Yes. Get the spirit right first. That's first and foremost. And then see where we go from there. So obviously, massive investment in building a new distillery. And I'm sure you guys know the price of casks. We could go flat out 24/7, but when you're not getting any money back and you're spending all that money on casks, yeah. So
is it an investment plan? Can people buy casks? Are you going down that route, or
not really? Well, it's something that's been spoken about and all the rest of it, but from past experience, I would like myself to say no. Because I have seen the amount of carry-on it's caused in other companies. And I mean, I worked for a company before and had one guy used to phone every week, how's my cask doing? Which cask? You the guy that phoned last week? And then people who buy a cask from you as well, they'll just come up and walk into the distillery. They think it's a God-given right to come in. They think they own part of the distillery because they bought a cask and just interrupt your day. So that can be quite bad as well. So, and then you've got the whole carry on. If a cask leaks, if a stave bursts, you're all the bad. You've robbed me. You've done this, that, and the other. So, but they might. It's been spoken about. Well, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, because there are some distilleries who do like is it the Lindors do the 1471 club, where there's that amount and that was it. And I think Dave's part of it. Dave's got a cask full of Lindors.
Yeah.
Who's watching Dave Harrison. So there's that limited exclusivity. So you've got you've only got 1,500 people to worry about doing that.
Yeah.
But I know other ones who 1494. There we go, 1494.
Yeah.
But that makes sense, doesn't it? Of course it does.
Yeah.
49.
Yeah, that's that. That's the year.
Mike, that's the sort of thing I would end up doing by accident.
I'm just going to head off now. But yeah, and because I know distilleries who did that and then they've fallen behind and they're still trying to catch up with orders of people buying casks.
Yeah,
it can tie you up in knots, as you say.
Yeah.
In terms of casks and maturation, though, I guess you're not really going to know what sort of cask is going to suit then, I guess, until it starts coming off the still. And
that's more experimental things we'll be doing. There'll be a lot of whiskey, there'll be a lot of spirit laid down in bourbon. We'll also do some sherry, but I want to do some French oak as well. So try that, see how that develops. But then we'll do some oddball type things, just small batches of casks here and there, and that can be released as specials as we go forward, depending if it works well. If it works very well, that could actually bring on a change of direction. You just don't know.
Do you think you'll experiment with peated malt?
Yes, we will. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
We'll do peated. So not straight off the bat. We'll see how we get going for a start, but perhaps maybe when next summer or when we're shutting down, we'll perhaps do a batch before then. So I think it's great. People on mainland Scotland doing a lot of peated malt. It just shows the difference from what there is in Islay. And then you've also got Islay. Isla's doing non-peated batches, much reverse of what we're doing. So yeah, it'd be quite good. And I'd like to be quite experimental with malt as well. So some of our malt is I'd like to try like chocolate type malt, things of that kind. So I'm going to be looking into that as well.
And I guess maybe you've got the scope for sort of growing maybe some of your heritage strains of barley, sort of your kind of older style. Maybe that must be fun for you as a manager to have that kind of scope and play around. Yeah,
very much. It's Diablo malted barley that we'll be using when we start production this year. So they've gone various different varieties over the years. There's some new ones coming to go. Most people are using Laureate. I believe people are still using Laureate. There's another new one, a newer kind of one, Firefox as well.
Oh, that's an awesome name for barley. I would have that just because of the name. That's amazing.
Sounds like
Sassy, that's another one as well that's being used just now. In fact, our farm grows Sassy as well. So they'd grown Sassy last year. They sold that all off.
I think Sassy might be even better. Sassy Fire. If that could be my superhero name, I'm having it. Can I change my Instagram to Sassy Firefox? That's amazing. I think Sassy might sound better in an Aberdeenshire accent, though. The way you've just rolled that out sounds even better. That's awesome.
Like Sassy Firefox.
Do you know, it actually sounds like the sort of name that posh people would give to shooting Labradors, like proper gun dogs. Sassy, Firefox, come into heel.
Yeah.
Sassy definitely sounds like a rich person's dog, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Pilot, Sassy, come into heel. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of exciting things coming out of Balmod anyway. And you've got scope to experiment and kind of evolve, which
this is why I like working. This is why I like working for smaller independents, because you can come up with an idea and say, right, we're going to try this, and everyone has a discussion. I say, yeah, we'll try that. Whereas if you work for some of the larger ones and you've got an idea, you ask the person above you. By the time it goes, you might get an answer 6 months later. So that's what I really, really like about the smaller independent ones.
It must be really exciting as well, starting this journey, which, the history is kind of demonstrate could be 200 years in the future, and this brand is still going, this distillery is still going. And that must be pretty. So you're laying down the foundations for not just whiskey for the next 10 years, but beyond that and
beyond that.
And, when tariffs hot enough to grow.
Because that's the thing. When was the last time there was a distillery in the tariff area?
Well, when was there actually? I was going to ask you that. What the history of distillation in that area is?
There hasn't been one. As far as I know.
Would be, well, you're saying, but Macduff's the closest to you guys.
Closest, yeah. And if you think about it, Tariff is the heart of malted barley growing country. So why is there never been a distillery there before now? And that was the whole idea of building the distillery. Because our boss Wilson, he was like, well, we go and sell this to a maltster, they go and make money. Could we not do something with it ourselves? And he's always been a passionate guy about whiskey. He likes a dram that himself. So it's something he's thought about for a long time. And then he just thought, yep, we'll go for that. So it makes sense. Grow your own product, use it. And then you get the end result. You make the whiskey. Yeah.
You look at guys like Lockleigh and Lindor's Daft Mill. That's what they're doing. They're growing or buying from the local farmers. Yeah.
There seems to be a lot more commitment to that. It's like even here up just up a layer down the road there. They are buying within, is it a 10-mile radius?
Something like that.
10 or 15 miles. So it's all local farmers from within a 10, 15-mile radius of Aberlour. So that's a good thing. And that's one of the big companies. So it's fantastic to see them commit into that.
No, definitely. I think, we're definitely moving away from not moving away from it, but I think there's the place for kind of the larger scale production. There's definitely a new kind of distillery evolving where people are focusing on terroir and sort of provenance and sort of sustainability and things. And so it's really good to see. Easier for like you guys, I guess, being new. You can make those choices from the start. You can put in these sort of wind turbine sustainability. Harder for the older distilleries, but
that's right.
It's a cool place here.
See, Rick's asked a question. Yes, we'll have a core range. You need to have a core range. So it's a.
Rick's going to want it to go out to America, though. Well, do you think it'll make its way out to America to Rick? I think he's in. Where is he based? San Francisco? Is it maybe? No, I don't know. Oh yeah.
Well, hopefully we can reach every corner of the world. Well, that things we'll just have to see how we get going.
Do you have an idea or sort of what you'd want your core range to look like, sort of age or cask style, or I guess you just don't know enough yet about spirit to make that?
Don't really know yet. I mean, I'm a massive fan of bourbon whiskey, so I'd like to put out some bourbon. Obviously, sherry. Most people like a sherry, but French oak, I really want to experiment with French oak as well. And see that, so you could have some of that for a core range, and then you could have your ports, etc.
Are you going to you're going to that's going to be your role kind of initially, is going out and visiting bodegas and cooperages and getting casks?
Yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Yeah. So again, hence the need for an experienced operator, because I can't be there all the time. You're involved in the cask side of things. So
if you want me to go out to Spain for you, I'll do that. No problem at all.
Yeah. And well, luckily for us, I source some very good casks, no problem anyway, because as I've said to you, who was my friend? Brent. So that's where I got all my casks to be coming from.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's cool. That's amazing.
I didn't say anything about casks. I just said you can send me to Spain and I'll go out there.
Yeah, that's right.
I just thought you could pay with it.
Yeah, but look at casks. You went to visit the bodegas.
Exactly. I'll taste the sherry for you and tell you how good it is.
Yeah.
Red is,
go on.
Red saying Calvados French casks make really interesting whiskey.
Okay.
The Calvados. I've had was it Little Brown Dog did when it was cognac. They've made a Calvados, so I'm pretty sure there'll be a Calvados cask from Little Brown Dog coming in soon.
Kilchoman did a Calvados, didn't they?
Kilchoman did, yes. Yeah.
I don't work for Coleman. Can I just add? I just seem to have mentioned them quite a lot tonight. But
I see Ryan saying cognac. Definitely be trying cognac. I've done. One of the best results I had in a previous job was Coval casks. So,
okay.
fresh whiskey in Coval. In fact, it was one of the first ones to finish in Coval. So, but there are a few at it now.
Yeah. I know Glenallachie worked with Coval quite a bit.
Yeah. I found that Coval worked better with older whiskies. Young whiskies it didn't work so well with.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun experimentation for you to do. It sounds like a couple of weeks spent here in France is needed as well. Tough job.
Somebody's got to do it.
I've just renewed my passport, so I can now leave the country again. I haven't been anywhere for a while.
I know you'll have to now. Bloody, you'll have to find somewhere else. I don't think it's coming to Scotland anytime soon.
Certainly not. Although I did see there's supposed to be 30 degrees coming, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, we'll wait for that, definitely. And then if it did, though, we'll just complain it's too hot. There'll be no happy medium.
You get that kind of people in the shop, and they're, oh, it's cold today, oh, it's too hot, oh, it's too wet, oh, it's too dry, and you're like, would you make your mind up?
My favourite saying we had, and I can't remember when it was, a wee while ago, but we're going through this like summer boom. It was like 2 weeks maybe of really fine weather, and everyone's loving it. And this he's obviously kind of a local farmer, kind of, what in the rain really is. But he came in. Great day, great weather. It's been brilliant, and he just turned around and goes, "Aye, but we'll pay for it."
It's like all this rain we've been having. You're thinking, well, I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't really bother me the same now because we grow our own malt and barley, and we know that nitrogen is low. But for a lot of the larger distilleries buying it, with all this rain, you might get high nitrogen in your malt and barley. So that is higher costs.
Yeah. And it was a late harvest as well with the rain, wasn't it? April.
It was a late, yeah. I mean, down Tariff Way, a lot of people would be thinking about cutting their winter barley just any time now. But no, there's no sign anything at all yet. And we'll wait to spray it off that in preparation for the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
I love Reb's comment here on YouTube. The British talk about weather all the time. Real, and have nothing to say. It was hot yesterday. It's hot today. It will be hot tomorrow.
That's very true.
Wouldn't you love, Reb, to live in the UK where it's different every 5 minutes, let alone day to day?
I know. Yeah, you just you get all the weather in one day.
And I see Dave has hit the nail on the head. Middle of August, when the kids go back to school, it'll be blazing sunshine.
Absolutely,
yeah. You're right enough. Just stuck
Dave,
with them indoors for
earlier on. Sorry, I did mean to come back to it. I think you mentioned it right at the start about the visitor centre, but I can't remember if you mentioned it to the guys at home or if it was pre-live. When will you be taking visitors to Balmod?
Well, the visitor centre isn't getting built as yet.
Yeah.
So we need to get everything sorted out for that kind of first so we can have somewhere to entertain people. We have got an area at the front distillery that could be a potential, but with all the work ongoing and what we're still doing, we can't think about that for any time soon.
Yeah. But it is in the grand scheme is to have a visit.
The grand scheme of things. It was easier getting planning permission for the distillery than it was the visitor centre. There's got to be a whole new road put in for the visitor centre.
Okay, car parking and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the car parking, that was fine, but to get to the distillery, you can use the existing roads there, but the visitor centre, different. There's a new road to be put in from the main road up.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I thought when you said it was oldie ball game, I thought maybe because it's the public are going in, but I guess the public a tour around the distillery at some point. So,
aye, that's it. So, and we'll get.
Oh, good fun.
There'll be more employment for the area, so it'll be good.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Guides, etc. So, but that might be easier said than done, because in every industry it seems to be very hard to find staff. There just seems to be a mass shortage, and that kind of falls under the hospitality umbrella.
Don't even get me started on that. But yeah, that's.
I guess what we do poorly in Scotland, and especially in hospitality, is give prospective careers. I think if you're front-facing, front of house, whether it's in a bar, a restaurant, a visitor centre, it seems to be this is a summer job, this is a minimum wage, this is what you do while you study, and it's
that's right.
Whereas I think if we look at it more subjectively, more seriously, and say, well, this could be a career. You start off as a visitor centre, and while you're training to do the visitor centre, we'll put you in a distiller's course. You can learn from the guys in production. There's a career progress, or
definitely.
I think, and that's not just a whiskey thing. That's a hospitality across it. You go to France or Italy or Spain, these kind of places, Greece, hospitality, to be a bartender or a waiter, it's a really well-respected profession. But they put the work into it, and they train, and the guys know every wine on the menu, and they know how to pair that with dishes. And we have bartenders who don't know the difference between a malt and a blend, or if they do, then they're seen as the whiskey guy.
That's right.
Plus the wage doesn't match either. They're getting paid like less than a third of what the production staff get paid, but they're still expected to work weekends and overtime, and then present a tour in 3 different languages and get paid less than somebody that works at Tesco. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
When you say 3 different languages, that's Rhine, Roch, and Para.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? But,
I mean, we could go on a good rant about visitor centres and
this is my soapbox, and I would rant about it every single week, and I'm trying to not.
I'll do it for you. And I in terms of the outside looking in, I think it's something we need to look at seriously. And that you look at any visitor to Scotland who's going to distillery, probably the only time they speak to anyone from that distillery, it'll be the visitor guide. It'll be who's taking them around the distillery. Yeah. They might not even be interested in whiskey, but that could be their first and only connection with somebody in the industry.
And this is somebody that could explain distillation just as well as somebody in production, or better, and then probably do it in French or German just as well as the English. You know how much this upsets me.
Juliet Buchan, go rant as much as you want, she says.
Thank you, Juliet. It is pretty much my soapbox.
That's as good as permission from God.
If you don't rant, Juliet will do it for you.
Let's start a campaign.
You're the first, and like I said, it's possibly the only connection that these, because the amount of people I say, I'm going to hazard a guess here. People visit a distillery. It's a tick box. I'm in Scotland. I need to visit a distillery. They're not actually interested in the whiskey. It's just something that they want to do.
Yeah.
But that could be the only person they speak to in their entire life who's in the whiskey industry. Well, that person could convert them into whiskey with a good tour. It might not be the taste of it, but it could be the history, it could be the production, it could be the brand. Yeah. And if they have that kind of influence over somebody, then they're brand ambassadors, not just for that one distillery, but for whiskey in general. You get a great tour, and somebody like, I really enjoyed that. I'm here for 2 weeks, I might go and do another one. Where if you get a crap tour, they're like, let's go and visit a castle instead.
I think things are better now, because years ago there was 54-seater buses going in. It was people who weren't interested in whiskey, and then you'd have a group of 4 people at the back wanting to ask questions, and they were getting lost in the crowd. But I think just about everywhere now has stopped having tours of that size, I think most people are saying like you've got 10 or 14 people maximum, and that is it. So it's much better if you're really interested in wanting to learn about things. So a lot of these bus holidays, they were coming up the A9 and they were stopping. Oh yeah, we've got a distillery here, and they were using it as a toilet break. And again, they wouldn't buy any whiskey, because for distilleries as well. Yes, have a tour, but also buy some whiskey.
Yeah. And if they did, it would be a miniature or a hip flask or something that.
I think it's still a problem as well, because you've got things like Brexit and stuff, so a lot of people just can't actually take a lot of stuff with them. We see it. Yeah, we see it all the time. I'd love to, because we're like, for example, where we're situated, we're the closest to the airport. So people are like, oh, well, we've just done the whole Speyside. Our suitcase is full. It's like, well, more for you for starting in space. But they can't really take much with them back on the airplane. So yeah, they're kind of limited about what they can.
Yeah. What they can actually start selling really thick Glengarry branded socks. People can wrap up their bottles to put in their suitcase.
Do you know, you don't need to, because our glassware is actually very, very sufficient. So guys, please don't worry about it. Buy as much as you like.
Buy as much as you want, but if it's a break, then it's not.
I see Juliet try to say I rant. I don't know if she gets that from. I'm a quiet lad, Juliet.
Not only is she saying you rant, but she says that nobody rants as well as you.
Don't know where she's getting that from.
I think Aberdeenshire people have got the perfect accent for a good rant, though, because everything we say naturally sounds quite aggressive, even though we don't actually mean it to. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's my weekly rant over about the unfairness of visitor centre, the way visitor centre staff are paid and treated. But anyway,
Rick wants to rant about how much you can put in a suitcase.
About how much you can put into a suitcase.
Yeah. Or how little maybe you can put in a suitcase.
Yeah. I guess it depends on the weight, doesn't it, as well, though? Like, you can put loads in, but if it's heavy, you're penalised, I guess. I haven't been travelling in years. I've got kids, so I don't go anywhere. I just go to Tesco. So I don't know. But yeah, probably not that easy to travel a lot of stuff. Although my dad came back through from New Zealand this week, and he was telling me about some of the really cool stuff he'd seen in duty free, which always makes me really jealous. I think you get some really good bottles in duty free by the sounds of things. But yeah.
Yeah, duty free's changed quite a bit recently, hasn't it? It's no longer duty free; it's travel retail, I think they call it.
Yeah.
So you don't get the duty free part of it, but so a lot of distilleries are now doing
limited editions
for that. Yeah, so it's limited editions and whatnot. So you have to buy a plane ticket to get it, which makes it more viable in the secondary market.
Yeah. I won't be doing that anytime soon.
No.
I
don't think you get Loganair duty free when you're jumping over to Ireland.
Do you not? They should. When we set up our little trebuchet down for firing people across the Isle, we should set up a wee duty free shack next to it. I don't think we've got Paul on this week, but that's maybe a sort of sideline to the business. There's definitely leg room with that.
One thing we normally ask quite early on in the evening, Finley, what was it that got you into whiskey? Was it a job to start with, or was it a passion first that made you look for a job in it?
I'd say a passion, because I'd always liked whiskey. I've only ever drank whiskey. I think just after I left school, I did your usual. I drank vodka, lime, and lemonade. And obviously, I shouldn't say this, but you could drink younger then. So I was drinking when I was like 16, 17, and then I started drinking whiskey when I was 17, and I've never looked back. So I think that's what actually. And I can always remember, right from when I was very young, I had my first ever distillery visit in something like primary 3 or 4. Can you imagine a primary 3 or 4 school trip going round distillery? We went round Strathyla Distillery, and I remember just being totally amazed. But I didn't think anything about whiskey then. I left school and I wanted to be an engineer. And I kind of started off into that. Mm-hmm. And then the next is I ended up going to work with Shivers and warehousing. But it's funny because I never ever thought I'd end up in production, because obviously when I was doing my warehousing, I thought, no, I couldn't do that shift, carry on. I like going out at weekends, but then you get older and you think, I don't go out quite the same, so no, I could do that.
Or you're wanting the shift to have an excuse so you don't have to go out. So sorry, boys.
Well, that's it. But then after doing the shifts for the 6 years I was doing it, now I think I couldn't do that now. I could do it if it was Monday to Friday, but not weekends. I like having my weekends to myself.
Do you not think?
Tough.
Well, sorry, Kat. I'm just going back to your comment there about taking kids around the distilleries. I think we miss a trick on that, in that when the most recent licensing act came into play, I think it's 2010, I think it came out, and it's very much against protecting kids from alcohol. Yeah. And the way that we're looking at that now as an industry is to hide it away. Don't let kids into bars, hide it away. If you're a kid and you're interested, if you can't get it legally, you'll it's like putting the sweeties on the top shelf.
Oh yeah,
the way of getting it.
Yeah.
And I think if we educate, bring back primary school trips to distilleries, show them that it's an industry, show them it's a career for people. It's not just a drink on the bar. Get that respect for it right at the start. And if they grow up knowing, oh, well, that's made locally, or this is what goes into making it, they treat it a bit more respect. They understand it. They look for careers in it, and you start to open their eyes, and they think, well, it's not that big kind of mysterious elixir that everyone talks about. This is livelihood. This is careers. This is jobs. Farmers are involved in it, and they just kind of they lose that mystique, and they just think, well, why would I go and hide in a corner of a park and where it just get lose it. I think education is key, and you can't educate people without introducing them to it at a young age and making it. We're teaching kids living and growing, and transgender acceptance and all this before they even know what a gender is. We're teaching them at 6-7 years old.
Yeah, I get 100%. Yeah,
but we're hiding them from alcohol. Yeah.
It's not really advertised as a career, though, is it? It's not. The whiskey industry is never really shown as a career you could go into in Scotland. It's oil and gas, it's renewables. You never really see whiskies at career fairs. But I guess it's the alcohol awareness children thing that would stop it happening.
Yeah. And I get it to a point, but hiding it and brush it under the carpet won't work.
Sorry, up here, the DYW, they focus a lot on distilleries. So Pernod Ricard do programs, so do Diageo, and they've got Baxter's, Walkers for careers. They actually put a lot of work into up here. I don't know about through you guys, but then you guys as kids are younger than my kids, so it's not until your kids get into high school you find out about all this.
Before
my children are 17, so I've got old kids.
Sorry?
I've got old kids. Mine are 17, 15 and 11, so yeah. It's just Mike that's got little wee sproglets.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're 17. I thought you'd have had something in Aberdeenshire for that, because you get the DYW up here.
Yeah, my teenager doesn't tell me anything, but I don't think I've seen anything really advertised. I know Old Meldrum School come to us sometimes and ask us to speak to some of the students in the science department and the language department to show them the relevance of our industry to those two subjects. But it's not really, I haven't seen it on a bigger scale, but then maybe I've just not looked, I guess.
We had it was before lockdown, 2018, 19. It was actually when I was launching the Whisky Academy. We spoke to our Brewery Academy, and we spoke to guys from DYW. Developing youth in the workplace, isn't it? I think it's DYW. And obviously COVID came in and kind of halted everything. That some of them haven't picked up again. But it was more about the hospitality side of things and getting kids involved in that side and using whiskey as a hospitality progression. But and the Seneca, your engineer, the amount of offshore or former offshore workers who I know are now looking for a job in whiskey because they've got the engineering
Yeah.
It's incredible.
If you're lucky with some of these programs through the school, I do know that at 15 years old, you can actually go to some of these companies and someone will mentor you and they'll take you around. It could actually lead to a full-time position. Or they'll just, you get days out of school, you can go to that company and just do a bit of the work to see if it's for you. And then, so it's a great thing and you never know where it'll end up.
Yeah, I think that was Brent's. That was his story. I think he said school wasn't for him. And then I think he just started hanging around the distilleries and somebody kind of took him on and let him kind of watch what was happening. And I think it kind of set off from that. But yeah, no, it's interesting that we don't promote it maybe as much as the other industries we have in Scotland. But we work with Hain quite a bit, like Hospitality Northeast. We get their students over and they'll do a day with us at the distillery. We kind of show them the other sort of like the production side of things, obviously, if they're going into bar work or whatever. And that's a really good program, actually. So I guess there are things, but maybe you just have to look for them. And maybe not. They're maybe not as obvious as other things. I went to a galvanizing factory at school, and that was not fun. I would have much rather gone to
Galvanizing factory.
Yeah, I don't even know where that was actually, but it was really boring.
Was it in Elgin? Was it by any chance?
I think it was Elgin. I was going to say Elgin a minute ago, but I thought I don't know that for certain.
It's because there's no galvanizer. It's only Highland galvanizers you get. They've got a depot in Aberdeen, but their main one started out in Elgin.
Yeah, that's where I was then.
And it's still there.
Was it? Maybe they're still taking school trips. But yeah, it was not the funnest day out. But there you go. And I didn't get into galvanizing, so obviously it wasn't beneficial to me at all. Ed's saying that he went on a school trip to Oakwood Cooperage. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
A Cooperage is always good fun. The Speyside one's a nice day out, especially if you've got kids, because they've got that kind of little wee area for them to make the little bags and stuff. And then you can obviously see what the guys are doing from the viewing gallery. But yeah, there's not that many places like that. And not many people not a lot of distilleries take kids on tour. Some of them don't let you. And it's just a health and safety thing as well, I guess.
The health and safety thing, and then the other side of that as well is if you've got kids on a tour and there's a large group of you and you've got young kids, they can cause quite a lot of interruptions when other people are trying to listen into what's being said to you. So you've got the challenges with that. You
do. We take kids on tour, but yeah, I mean, we don't get a lot of them, but sometimes it can be difficult if they're kind of causing a bit of a fuss or getting a bit restless, because it's not fun for them. There's nothing for them to really see that's entertaining. And they're not always easy sights to maneuver around if you're carrying a kid and a changing bag and everything else. I couldn't be arsed for my kids going around a distillery. And they can't be arsed hanging out with me anymore, so I just go myself.
Right. I remember when I was in production at Tamnavulin, my kids used to come with my tea to me when I was on shift, so they'd come in and walk through the distillery and give them a tea. They spent time in there.
That's cute.
And sometimes you say, right, open that valve, close that valve, go and check that spirit.
There you go. You might have some budding distillers in the making.
Yeah.
No, it's quite hard industry to get into, though. I think in production side of things, it's just I think there's a job on the go. I know from just where I work that a lot of people will apply if a production role comes up. So trying to get in.
When I worked at Shivers down in Keith doing all that warehousing, I was there. I was just a temporary worker for 3 years, but my face didn't fit, so I couldn't get a full-time job. And it used to be very much like that back then your face had to fit.
Yeah. Or something. You had to know somebody that was in the industry or somebody that knows somebody.
And then obviously when I went to White Mackay, I just kind of interviewed like everyone else and then got a job there. Yeah.
Reese is saying that's how you used to babysit us at Speyside, Finley. Open the valve, open that valve.
And you still didn't do what he was telling. He was a good lad, Reese. I can't say that about him. That's enough. Enough, maybe.
In answer to Dave's question, there's not an age limit for Glengarry. You can come if you're a baby, or you can come if you're a hunter. You just got to manage the stairs.
I was going to tell Dave he was too old. I said there's an upper age limit, and he was too old for it.
As long as you can get up the staircase, you're fine. I'm back down the staircase. That's sometimes harder. But yeah, no, we don't have any age restrictions. It's quite hard with these old places as well, though, because they're like so higgledy-piggledy. The floors are uneven. You're kind of little wee rooms and sort of up round and around the place. So as much as we want to welcome everyone, sometimes it's just not always practical to get folk around the place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Ryan's onto his last dram of tonight, and I don't even know if he actually nailed that whole 6 Tamnavulin he had before. He's doing well tonight. He did say he's not working, so maybe that's what it is.
He's off for the weekend, so he's happy.
You have to excuse me for a second.
No worries. So Ryan's on the Brooklady 8-year-old. Is that an independent bottling of that, Ryan? I'm not seeing an age statement. 8-year-old, 18-year-old I've seen.
When Allan comes back, I'm going to duck away and find a hanky because I've got a really sniffy nose, but I don't want to leave you just completely by yourself.
Yeah, I can twiddle my thumbs or something. I'll speak to the guys at home. Yeah, we have.
I'm going to go get a hanky.
Still watching that I can talk to. You just need to guys at home. Just tell me what you want me to talk about, and we can. We've got Willis Peel, he's just killed a Lindor's STR bottle from the cask of Lindor's. Is that batch 1 or batch 2? Willis, let us know. So they've both buggered off and left me. So I'll tell you what I just poured. I just poured the Kilchoman 100% Isla from 2022. Hopefully Tony's not watching because I actually think this is her bottle. But it's a 12th edition, full bourbon, cask, and publican barley. So which is not one that we see very often at all in whiskey. And Cat is back with a freshly blown nose. So, oh, good.
I think I've got the start of a cold, but everybody's got a cold just now. But I think it's because the house is cooling down and my nose has got really sniffy. Not that everybody needs to know what's wrong. What's wrong with me.
Ryan's asking what tasting. Sorry. Ryan's asking what tastings have recently in the shops. So, what did we have last week? We did our Highland whiskey region, so that was part of our regions tour. So every quarter, or almost every quarter, we're doing one of the 6. We're throwing in an island whiskey tour. So we're looking at the regions. Kat, you did their Lowlands. You were our host for that one, and we've done Speyside Highland. Our next one, I think, is the Campbelltown, which is the end of September. The week before that, we did Glenmore, a rare find range, which was 6 drams, which spanned 153 years of whiskey, which was a pretty epic. Dave Hackerson was on that one with his couple of his friends. And yes, Dave, you've asked me about the Benrinnes 16. I'm waiting on the answer back. I'm sure it will be coming in very shortly. So yes, we have more coming in. I just can't tell you when. And then what have we got? We've got a virtual only tasting, the 26th. So your birthday?
Yeah. Well, this of July.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
We will have a special wee dram just for your birthday.
You'll forget by the time we've come off this call.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what we've done is on a recent trip. Well, this goes back a couple of years. We've been collecting distillery exclusives in handfulls and single casks. So we have put them all into a mystery. That's a blind tasting pack. So we've got some. I think I worked out. It's about all 6 bottles combined. It's about £990 of whiskey that we are divvying up. So we're going to do a wee blind test where people get to guess. So we'll tell them what how many sherry casks are in the lineup, how many bourbon casks, how many rum casks, or wine casks, or whatever's in there. And then people have to guess which one is the sherry casks and stuff. So they'll get points for that. And then whoever gets the most points in each category will get loyalty points added, so they can get prizes and points, and just a little bit of fun. So that's going to be a fully virtual tasting night. So you can buy your packs from us and we'll send you out, and then you join us. It's a little bit like this, but with more people. I was going to say less banter, but I don't want that to put anyone off. It'll be good fun.
Nonsense. Maybe less nonsense. Is what
Less nonsense. More whiskey chat.
I think I'm going to have another dram. I'm going to have one of those.
Ooh.
The Glenglasser Octave series.
They were banging. They were under Billy, weren't they? They were one of his last kind of releases. I think Rachel launched. I think she did one of the Octave series. She took over, but Billy's ones were.
Okay, pour it in my glass here. I've no promotion for you. I don't have an Inverurie whiskey shop one, but Tatsuya's Highlander glass will do nicely.
Oh yeah, oh we love Tatsuya. Love that.
So we like Tatsuya, so that's fine.
I don't even have any whiskey shop glass, to be honest. So
I don't either. Yeah. I've got what have I got? Lochnagar is my glass tonight. I wasn't paying attention at all. And I do have a whiskey shop.
Finley, what the Octave is it?
It is. If I look at this. Yeah. Octaves, just Octaves Classic. See if I can read the right in the back here. I don't have my glasses.
The only glass you need has got whiskey in it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the batch 2, the Octaves series, the Octave Classic.
Awesome, because they did some peated octaves as well.
They did, yeah. It's been a long time since I tried that one.
Yeah. It's just Glenglasser are wonderful for that. I think it's one of these that once you discover it, it's very hard to find anything bad about it.
Yeah. It's good to see it's getting some recognition now, and it's established, and there's been a lot of investment there.
It's such a beautiful. It's like a ugly, beautiful distillery, because from the outside it's not that exciting, and then you go inside it and it's just so lovely and charming, and it's just in such a beautiful location. I love Glenglasser.
What have we got? Sorry, Ed is calling me out on not delivering a glass to him for the loyalty scheme.
Oh no.
Okay. I will remedy that. We will give you a branded glass.
From a few years ago. He's really holding a grudge there.
He is. with interest, it might be a pint glass by now.
It'll be a free pint glass out of the Black Bull is what it'll be.
Exactly. You didn't say what brand had to be on it. Tenants. He's asking if we get crisps with the tasting. I'll throw in a packet of crisps for you.
Do you know, if you go to Strathisla, you get crisps when you go through to the tasting at the end. I was dead impressed with that. I've never been anywhere.
Take note when you're starting your, you'll have to get a tatty field next door as well, and you can grow your own crisps.
Hand-cooked crisps.
That would be unique. That would be absolutely unique. There's not only barley grown on site, but the tatties for the crisps as well.
Matured in sherry casks.
Sherry casks.
Sherry, vinegar, and salt crisps. That would be awesome. I think we've come up with a new idea. Every week we come up with a new marketing idea. I think we're like, I think we might be geniuses and not even realize it.
I need to listen back to all the Blethers and write down all the ideas we've had.
I know. We need like a sort of rogue ideas spreadsheet of just things we've invented or promised, and we'll have to just chase them up one day and commit to them. Some of them are unachievable, to be fair.
Some of them are like the trebuchet.
Trebuchet over time. But There's ones we can work on, I'm sure.
So what we should do is, for the guys at home listening, we want to volunteer to watch every single week and write down the ideas we have, and do a feasibility study on it. Do all the research for it, and we'll obviously take the credit. But as long as you do all the work in the background, that would be great. You've got 1 week for every idea to get it to market.
Yeah,
like a little bit of Allan Sugar kind of stuff.
You know, I think I'm going to start writing them down every week as well from now on. Every idea that we come up with, I'm just going to keep in my little notebook here. At the end of the year, I'm going to come to you with all these ideas and say, look at all this shit. Yes, exactly. I'm going to present it to you. What was that show where the old guy would hand you a big red book about your life? Yeah, at Christmas, I'm going to present you. I'll present you this at Christmas, the book of ideas. That sounds like a good night out. Nonsense.
We do. We're getting to the nonsense side of things. Allan, or Finley, sorry. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It's been good banter. I hope the guys at home are as excited about Balmod as we are, and as you are. Clearly, you're showing that.
Yes, very excited. Can't wait to get going.
That in September when the stills for the first time is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good to be back on because I haven't done the Blether before, but I've done a couple of online tastings with you before.
We have, yeah, with the Spain guys.
Good fun, yeah.
Well, we'll get you back on when you release the whiskey as well, so you can tell us all about it. Oh,
absolutely, aye.
And you know where we are, so you're welcome. Welcome at any time.
Yeah, I haven't been in for a while. I popped in. I was in Inverurie. That's a few weeks ago, but I was rushing around, and a lady actually reversed into me in the car park just beside your shop. And then I don't have time to get in there. So,
reversed into you or reversed into your car?
Reversed into the car, into the motor.
That's slightly less traumatic.
So that was it. This is all. I'll go into this. No, so that right. Okay, I better get going. But it's been a while. I do pop in now and again. Yeah. And you're always welcome. We'll have to get you in and show you the tasting room as well. Yeah.
One day we'll have you in with your own start to finish whiskey, which will be really exciting.
That's very exciting to think about.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you'll have some gin and some rum, just be quite the party.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to clear some space.
Ed plays in the brass band in Turriff. He thinks some sponsorship should be mutually beneficial.
Who plays in the brass band?
Ed Friday. He plays in the Turriff brass band.
Oh, aye.
I reckon we could have them at the opening of the distillery.
Aye.
There's a shout. Crisps and a brass band and a coup.
A coup, aye.
That's what opening days are made of.
Don't worry, I'll organise it. I'm halfway there.
Oh, dear. Just before you all go, next week we have had a cancellation kind of last minute, so
we have, unfortunately.
She's like a duck, where she's calm and collected on top, and underneath is kicking like mad, trying to get in a replacement.
Yes,
but I'm sure we will.
He will be on at some point. We're just gonna have to reschedule. So he's not giving away who it is, but he's just left one role in as a manager of a distillery and been recruited somewhere else. And unfortunately, he's just going to have to go and meet with his new employers last minute. So he's very apologetic about it. But we will get him on before he goes. But until then, I am going to frantically rake around and find somebody else for you guys. So I'll keep you posted. Unless Mr. Poppy wants to join us, if he's still watching, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Colin, if you're still on. Or Juliet, maybe.
Oh, Juliet, yes, please.
Juliet for a while.
That would be awesome.
She's in a new role now at Glen Allachie. She's home brand. So.
Yep. So if either of you two want to join, that would be awesome. Or you're welcome together.
Reese, if you're still kicking about.
Yep, Reese, jump on. You know where I am on Instagram. Jump on.
Finley, thank you so much once again for giving us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
For the guys at home, might see you on Aquavite later. If you do see me, pop in a wee message to say hello. I will do the same. Reese needs to check his diary to make sure he's free. I mean, he did say earlier on in the chat, Reese, you said same time next week, so we already know you're available.
Yeah, you know, we've got that in print, so yeah.
But if you'd just like to stay behind after we go live, we'd just like to say thanks again. So guys, cheer up, Slangeva, and enjoy the weekend. And roll on next Thursday when it's going to be really exciting to see who we've got, because we don't even know yet.
No.
Missed the guest.
Slangeva, yes.
Flange.
Flange.